The atomic bomb warning, Einstein, Szilárd, and the race against Nazi Germany. In the summer of 1939, the world stood on the brink of war, but a much more catastrophic threat was simmering behind closed doors. A group of scientists, many of them refugees from Nazi-controlled Europe, were increasingly alarmed by the possibility that Hitler's regime might be developing a weapon of unimaginable power, the atomic bomb. These men knew that recent scientific breakthroughs in nuclear fission had opened the door to such a weapon, and they feared that German physicists could soon exploit this terrifying new energy source for military purposes. Among these concerned scientists was Leó Szilárd, a Hungarian-born physicist whose early work had helped lay the foundations for nuclear chain reactions. Szilárd, along with fellow émigré physicists Edward Teller and Eugene Wigner, had left Europe as the dark clouds of Nazism spread across the continent. They understood better than most the ruthlessness of the Nazi regime, and they feared what might happen if Germany won the race to build an atomic bomb. A race for survival, Szilárd and his colleagues had reason to worry. In 1938, German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann, along with physicist Lise Meitner, had discovered nuclear fission, the process by which the nucleus of an atom splits into smaller parts, releasing an enormous amount of energy. The scientific community quickly realized that this process could be weaponized, and no country seemed better positioned to take advantage of the discovery than Nazi Germany. Germany was home to some of the world's leading physicists, including Werner Heisenberg, a pioneer of quantum mechanics. As reports began to surface of German research into uranium, Szilárd and his colleagues realized the implications. If Germany succeeded in building an atomic bomb, Hitler would have the power to destroy entire cities and subjugate nations with a single blow. The US government, however, seemed unaware of the urgency of the situation. At the time, America was still largely isolationist, with little appetite for military involvement in Europe's brewing conflict. Szilárd knew that, if the United States didn't act quickly, it might be too late to stop Germany from gaining a nuclear advantage. A fateful meeting with Einstein. It was in this climate of fear and uncertainty that Szilárd sought out the one man whose voice might be powerful enough to catch the attention of the US government, Albert Einstein. By 1939, Einstein was already one of the most famous scientists in the world, known for his groundbreaking theory of relativity and his outspoken advocacy for peace. Despite his pacifist beliefs, Szilárd hoped that Einstein could be persuaded to support their cause. After all, the stakes had never been higher. In July 1939, Szilárd, accompanied by fellow physicist Eugene Wigner, made the trip to Einstein's summer home on Long Island, New York. Sitting in the garden of the quiet cottage, Szilárd explained to Einstein the recent developments in nuclear fission and the potential for creating an atomic bomb. Einstein, who had not previously considered the military implications of nuclear research, was struck by the gravity of the situation. Though deeply committed to pacifism, Einstein understood the danger posed by Nazi Germany. If Hitler's scientists succeeded in building an atomic bomb, the consequences would be catastrophic, not just for Europe, but for the entire world. Realizing the necessity of action, Einstein agreed to lend his support. Together, Szilárd and Einstein composed a letter addressed to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, urging the US government to take the possibility of a Nazi atomic bomb seriously. The letter, written in August 1939, was clear in its warning. Germany has taken the lead in this area of research, and it is conceivable that they are working on a weapon of unprecedented destructive power. The letter recommended that the US begin its own atomic weapons research and noted the strategic importance of securing supplies of uranium, an essential component for any atomic weapon. The letter that changed everything, the Einstein-Szilárd letter, which was delivered to Roosevelt by economist Alexander Sachs, is often credited with sparking the US government's serious interest in atomic research. Initially, Roosevelt's response was cautious. The US was not yet at war, and funding for scientific research was limited. But the letter caught the attention of key figures in the government, and it led to the formation of the Advisory Committee on Uranium, a small but significant step toward what would eventually become the Manhattan Project. The Manhattan Project, launched in 1942, would go on to become one of the largest and most secretive military operations in history. It mobilized thousands of scientists, engineers, and technicians to develop the world's first atomic bomb, drawing on the US vast material and financial resources. The race was now on, not just against Nazi Germany, but also against time itself. While Einstein's letter played a crucial role initiating US nuclear research, it's important to note that Einstein himself had little direct involvement in the Manhattan Project. He was not asked to join the project due to security concerns, and much of the heavy lifting was done by other scientists, including Szilárd, Robert Oppenheimer, and Enrico Fermi. Nonetheless, Einstein's warning had set the wheels in motion. Einstein's regret and the moral dilemma. For Einstein, the decision to sign the letter was not an easy one. As a lifelong pacifist who had opposed war and militarism at every turn, the idea of contributing to the development of a weapon of mass destruction weighed heavily on him. Yet, the threat posed by Nazi Germany was too great to ignore. He believed that in this case, the greater moral imperative was to prevent Hitler from obtaining such a weapon. After the war, Einstein expressed deep regret for his role in the creation of the atomic bomb. In a 1954 conversation with fellow physicist Linus Pauling, Einstein famously said, "I made one great mistake in my life when I signed the letter to President Roosevelt recommending that atom bombs be made. But there was some justification, the danger that the Germans would make them." Einstein's internal conflict reflected the broader moral dilemma faced by many scientists involved in the Manhattan Project. While they had succeeded in building the atomic bomb, the weapon's use on Hiroshima and Nagasaki raised profound ethical questions. Could the invention of such a weapon ever be justified? And what responsibility did scientists bear for the consequences of their discoveries? A legacy of advocacy for peace. In the years following the war, Einstein became one of the most vocal advocates for nuclear disarmament. He warned of the dangers of nuclear proliferation and called for international cooperation to prevent future wars. In 1955, just months before his death, Einstein joined British philosopher Bertrand Russell in signing the Russell-Einstein Manifesto, which highlighted the existential threat posed by nuclear weapons and urged world leaders to seek peaceful solutions to global conflicts. Einstein's involvement in the atomic bomb project may have been brief, but it had a lasting impact on his worldview. He spent the final years of his life dedicated to promoting peace, internationalism, and the responsible use of scientific knowledge. In 1960, 5 years after his death, Einstein was honored as a charter member of the World Academy of Art and Science, an organization founded by scientists and intellectuals committed to the ethical advancement of science. The Academy was formed in the shadow of the atomic bomb, with a mission to ensure that future scientific progress would be guided by principles of peace and human welfare. Einstein, Science, and Responsibility. The story of Einstein's letter to President Roosevelt is a powerful reminder of the ethical responsibilities that come with scientific discovery. It shows how even the most peaceful and idealistic individuals can be confronted with moral dilemmas in the face of global threats. Einstein's legacy is not just one of brilliant scientific achievement, but also one of deep introspection about the role of science in shaping the world's future. In the end, Einstein's involvement in the race to build the atomic bomb reflects the complicated intersection of science, morality, and politics. While he regretted the part he played in the development of nuclear weapons, He also recognized that his actions had been driven by the desperate circumstances of the time. His life serves as a testament to the power and the burden of scientific knowledge in an increasingly dangerous world.